Today on the MrMaple Show podcast, Matt and Tim talk to nursery woman and maple legend, Elizabeth Mundy.
Konnichiwa, y'all, and welcome to the MrMaple Show and podcast. We got a special guest here for today. Tim and I are very excited to be joined by one of our mentors, Elizabeth.
Hey guys, and I'm Tim. We got Elizabeth here. We're so excited about this. Elizabeth is one of our mentors, one of our good friends. And to be honest with you, Mr. Maple might not be here today if it wasn't for Elizabeth Mundy, who ran and operated Acer Acres in Virginia. Good friend. And I mean, we're honored and blessed to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm proud to be here and see what y'all have become over the decades.
So I'm going to call this the Maple Mentor Series. And this is one of our best mentors. Whenever we were getting started and I was in the basement, you're somebody I would always call and bug. I mean, you and Frank were the people I called the most. Like, I don't know what's going on here. What do I do? This is weird. Something's wrong. Something's wrong with the grass. So what do I do? Let me send you a picture. And she was always so patient and kind to help us. So we just appreciate every single thing from the plants to all the knowledge. You have helped us so much. I mean, I don't know that I'd have got out of the basement as quick as I did without all your help. So I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And in accordance to that, you've also got us into a ton of plants over the years. There's so much plant knowledge you've got us into. I know Dr. Murray certainly helped us get interested in the 1700s trees, but you kind of helped fulfill a little bit of that. I know one of our things we always did, we do top fives now where we go around and ask people their top 5 favorite trees. But one of the first things we did, I think our first time coming to your place was either in 2009 or maybe in 2010. And we came up there, we're on our way to Ed Shin's, and we dropped in with Richard Bomar. I was texting Mike Wilson, by the way, the other day. So those are our compadres in crime back in the day that would go around, look at maples, and they're like, you got to go into Acer Acres. This place is amazing. And Tim and I were just in shock and awe. We got up there, and we were just blown away by all the cultivars. And it kind of opened the imagination up to expanding what it could be. And I just love that time. So from that point on, you really were just instrumental in kind of helping us find out new things. But one of those questions we always ask when we meet new people is, what's your favorite cultivar, or what cultivar isn't out there and should be? And you got us on to Shiranami early on. I think that was when Shiranami became one of my all-time favorite plants. Tell us a little about what drew you to Shiranami, why that one's interesting, and I know you certainly opened my eyes up to that one. After that, I was sold. We started producing a ton of that one, kind of helped trying to repopularize it if we could. And I think a lot of people owe you the credit of kind of getting that one back out there a good bit.
Well, at Acer Acres, we collected plants starting back in the 90s, and just one of this and one of that. And as time moved on, we wanted to propagate some of the lesser known ones and bring them to the garden centers and to folks like you, other growers, that were going by the wayside. And particularly Shiranami is just so beautiful. The deeply divided leaves, the fall color, the form, it's just so graceful. So that's definitely a top plant for
I know
me.
We were just walking around greenhouses and you're like, I bet you hadn't seen this one before. And I'm like, wow. I mean, like it's still one we produce a ton of today. I don't think I still do enough of it. I'm always trying to get back into production on that one. I feel like every time we list it, it kind of sells out. But I think we always kind of cherish that one from that time frame too, was like learning about new things. And that one always excited me as one where you didn't have to reinvent the wheel. There's been something out there that's already pretty awesome. Just getting it back to people to see it again.
And tip for other propagators, it takes really well.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Never hurts there. Now, how big was Acer Acres at its biggest when you were, I think when we were there, you were a lot of greenhouses back then.
We had about 50 large cold frames.
I mean, I was blown away.
We did winter grafting back then, and we would graft about 50,000 trees a year, and we supplied independent garden centers up and down the East Coast.
One of the most impressive things is even then you were so given to knowledge. So I just appreciate that too. Like when we come to visit, it was always, I always had a list of questions. I was like, if I'm bugging you, let me know. But I've got a lot of questions. What's going on here? And you were always so cool about letting us see things, showing us propagation. and kind of just mentoring us toward growth. And we owe you a lot of growth. A lot of our growth came about from that knowledge and that help. So we really appreciate it.
Well, I relied on knowledge from other growers. I didn't have a background in horticulture and sort of got into this industry sideways, but learned from other growers, learned from the plants, read books. And if we didn't carry that knowledge forward and share it, it would hurt the industry, and then the plants wouldn't be so wonderful or available.
Now, there's a lot of trees in the trade that are in the trade because Matt and I got them from you. For instance, Acer Palmatum Tom Thumb.
Yep.
That's a Macawa type that's not really in the trade anywhere, and Matt and I are just now getting it in enough production because
Yay,
so slow.
it's a really good one.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just almost like slower growing than tattoo. I mean, it's just
It's tiny, and it stays tiny, and the leaves are, smaller. Than some of the other sort of clone-like plants.
yeah. And so, I mean, there's a lot of trees like that are in the trade today because and are going to be in the trade because we got them from you back in the day.
I'm naturally a collector, but what got you into trying to get so much diversity in your collection? Like what drew you into all the different maple cultivars? Because you were growing a huge lineup there of different things.
We just loved them, and they're so diverse, and there's something for everyone in the maple world. And then it's cool that they're just so genetically in combinations, just can be so different.
Now, not only did you go through and have all these different varieties, but you actually got some trees into the trade. One I think you may have gotten into the trade was Maymont.
Maymont we did, which was a old unnamed beautiful weeping plant near their koi garden, and they allowed us to propagate it. We also didn't find but developed Kim. A friend of ours' father had imported the mother tree from Japan, and she remembers going and visiting it while it was in isolation. But we did find and introduce, Torchlight, which is a red upright, Maizuru, which is a variegated one similar to Asahi Zuru, Cricket, which is a witch's broom, Peggy, which is another green weeper named after Airhead Propagator.
I remember Peggy. We used to go up there and ride around her with the golf carts. She got a really big kick when Tim told her one day we were going to be propagating Peggy. She said she didn't know if that sounded okay or not. Really enjoyed talking to her, though. She was a fun character for sure.
She was. But anyway, it's just fun, and that's working at a nursery like Acer Acres or here at MrMaple. There's something beautiful every day, and something catches your eye. So we'll just find among the many seedlings, something will pop up that's unique and allow us to test it and move it forward.
I've really enjoyed Cricket. That was a fun one that you got going. Very columnar selection, great color, holds deep into the season for us. A lot of customers have really sung its praises. I remember when you were talking about this one, you're like, I don't have Twombly's Red Sentinel, and we were grafting, and look what came out about this, and they were all columnar, and they were all this intense shape, dense, full. And it just blew us away, the color, because I think the color might even hold better than some of the standards that have been out there. I've got one in the ground, and it's still very narrow, probably 10, 15 years old since we've had that one, and it looks immaculate. The ground, even really late in the season, the colors are awesome.
Well, the other thing I like about it is it stays fairly full. Some of the other more upright witches' brooms tend to get a little looser growing at the bottom, and for me at least, it stays nice and dense.
Now, how did the naming of that one come about? Was that somebody special to you, I believe?
No, I just was thinking about little crinkly leaves, and for some reason a cricket popped in my head, and so there it was.
Now, not one of your intros, but one of my favorite things you used to do back in the day was trees, and maybe we'll incorporate this here one day. Maybe it's TM'd already, I don't know. But Talon would always sell some of his seedlings as rising stars. I always thought it was so fun when you would sell some of the unnamed trees or trees that lost the labels as mighty fine trees.
Mighty pretty
They were
trees.
mighty pretty trees.
Yeah. I always loved that. Like, maybe we need a mighty pretty tree label here because I always loved that too.
Well, they were very popular because they had been grafted. They were named cultivars. We were 99% sure we knew what they were, but we couldn't, in good faith, sell them without being 100% sure with a name on them. So garden centers or individual retail customers would go, okay, that fits the bill as far as category operator weeping, but it was just a fun thing to do.
I love it. I love it. I think you've always been somebody who's been at the forefront too of pathogens, things that can go wrong, learning about things with maples, like diagnosing and that helped me so much because I could come and ask you, and never afraid to send something off to somebody to check it out and see what it could be and diagnose it and figure things out, kind of get things going in the right direction, but kind of preemptively figuring all that stuff out. I've always been admirable of your knowledge of that and willingness to kind of check everything out, that you can find.
Well, I think, again, shared knowledge is important, especially in the plant industry, because if one grower has a problem, it's likely that another grower has had a similar problem. So if we share back and forth, it helps the industry. But in the nursery industry, you have to be a curious person. So I am very curious, and when confronted with something unique, I wanted to research it, and I would reach out to different horticulture departments across the country, talk to other growers, do my own research, and do some trials of things. The problem with Japanese maples back when I first started is that very little work was done on the pathology, so we all had to do it ourselves.
Now, speaking of trials, I know that you started and donated some plants from some heat trials at some different places. Could you talk a little bit about the places that things were sent off to?
Well, we wanted to explore the heat tolerance because that was something that wasn't talked about as much. So we sent some collections of trees to Mercer in Houston, and then the Ruby Mize garden at the University of
Stephen F. Austin. Yeah, we were just down there visiting.
Yeah, well, and so I just wanted them planted where they weren't going to get a lot of TLC, where that was going to be more typical of home landscape care, just to see how they do. And fortunately, these folks were happy to do it. Some of them did well and some didn't. And, that was all useful information. I still have spreadsheets that I receive from them with results every couple years just to keep track of it.
I love the curious mind aspect of it. And that's where we go with it too. I love kind of pushing it, seeing what else it can do. And thank you for that, because that's great information. It helps the whole industry kind of see which cultivars kind of wimped out in that heat, which ones were really standing strong. And it's super interesting. I have to get down to Houston now. That's the place I have forgot to go. We went through Ruby Mize garden. I guess it's been two springs ago. We went down to Texas and checked that out. So
how did the maples look?
They looked really good. Now, we had went kind of after spring flush, so a lot of things already greened up because of the heat, and they're in a lot of shade. So a lot of things were a little bit greener. I've got to get down there. Well, someday we're going to go back and shoot down there and go and peak azalea season too, because when those azaleas hit their peak with the maples in spring color, we got good videos on the place, but we didn't capture its true glory. They can lose color a little quick, especially in that high shade garden. But I've been there in spring, and it's pretty special. I have to go back down and shoot in spring.
Well, it's a beautiful, beautiful place to visit. So if your listeners are in the area, you should definitely check it out.
Now, Elizabeth, you're one of our mentors. You're a legend to us in the maple industry. I know that you also had lots of people who you were friends with who were legends in the maple industry. Will you talk to us a little bit about some of the people that you interacted with? Oh, gosh.
People are gracious in this industry, and that's one wonderful thing about choosing this line of work or lifestyle. But we met Dick Wolf, Harold Johnston, Rex McDonald. I'm trying to think of West Coast folks. It'll come to me in a minute. But anyway, all those folks were willing to share and show us their trees they were bringing along and help us out. So we appreciated them, and it's a rich history.
Go ahead.
What kind of person was Dick Wolf of Red Maple Nursery?
That's exactly what I was going to ask. He stole my question.
He's a guy who introduced Emperor One. He introduced Green Mist. He introduced Moonfire, Red Baron, a large selection of trees that are in the trade today. What kind of person was he? What was it like going and conversating and having conversations with him?
He was always gracious to me. I know he had a reputation for being a little cantankerous, shall we say. But, he was a plant person, and he was sort of a nuts and bolts guy, straight to the point.
I'm looking forward to my cantankerous years. It seems like that's the next step. If you really want to get to the Yoda level, you got to quit being so nice. You got to all the. I'm kidding. That's the next step. It's like he got cantankerous when he got a little older. I'm not there. I'm there. Very true. Same thing. All the greats they say that about, if you want to be honest. But
I know you also conversated with, again, I'm going to continue that same line of thinking with Harold Johnston. Harold Johnston was a pioneer of growing Japanese maples in the South. He introduced Benny Sheehan, Abigail Rose, and a lot of very heat-tolerant selections for the Deep South.
Well, heat-tolerant selections, but he also popularized side grafting as a production method, which was important, for all of us who wanted to produce lots of maples. But I went to visit him in Alabama, and he had a very small house surrounded by some plants. And we sat on his front porch, and he gave me a hot grape-aid to drink. And we chatted, and he gave me his tour. And then he was in his declining years at that point. But it was a lovely day. And then subsequently, he would say, "Oh, I'm going to get out of the maple business. Will you buy all my plants?" I'd be like, "Sure, Harold. Put them on a truck, send them up here." And then about, the next year, he'd say, "Oh, no, I can't stop." And then a few years later, he'd say, "Want to buy my plants again?" So I feel like I'm in the same position because I have, quote, retired, but I have 3 little greenhouses in my yard, and I'm still grafting plants.
Nice. Nurserymen and women are like boxers. It's like, I'm coming back for one more round. I got it in me. I know I still got it. We love hearing about Harold and especially Mr. Wolf, because those were people we always wanted to meet. You always encouraged us to go meet Harold, and unfortunately, we talked to him on the phone several times, but I never got to meet him in person, and I regret that. One lesson he taught us was to quit waiting to meet people, because we called and we said, "Hey, we'd like to come meet Mr. Johnson tomorrow." He passed away literally that week.
Oh, gosh.
And so, we sent our condolences and everything, but we learned the importance of not waiting, too. It was like, if you want to meet some of these legends, get out there and go see them, right? And that kind of, I don't know that I'd have went and saw Yano if I hadn't learned that lesson from Mr. Johnson, because we talked to him on the phone plenty of times, so we felt like we knew him. But I was like, I didn't get to spend that time on the porch drinking the hot grape-aid with you. I wish I would have done that. Like, I had an opportunity to do it. It's like seeing Ray Charles, right? I'm like, I could have went and saw Ray Charles. I didn't do it. I made a mistake. But I learned that lesson from him. And so you always pushed us, too, to kind of get out there and meet some of that older generation of maple producers and like get out there and pick their brain. They're wanting to tell people this stuff.
Now, one thing I got to say real quick, at our last open house, there was a lady who was at our open house who had a garden center in Alabama. And she was telling me of how, and she was collecting Harold Johnston's introductions while she was here. And she was telling me of how Harold came to her and he didn't have much grafted, but he had tons of seedlings. And he said, "I'm getting out of the maple business." And he told her all the seedlings she had, and she went and potted all of them up. So he'd done this numerous times.
Yeah, that was his shtick, I guess. Cash flow.
Hey, Talon Buckholtz is cutting grafts at the nursery probably this week, so it's hard to retire sometimes when it's fun. You love this stuff. So, Talon sold to us and got out of it, but he's still involved. So I get it, because it's something you can enjoy your entire life. Like, I get it. Like, I hope I can keep that love alive. And keep coming back to it and find a way to decrease the work and still do it and enjoy it too.
Well, when we were a really big nursery at Acer Acres, I was more in the administrative end of it. And then we scaled back, knowing I was moving to retirement. But I liked getting back to hands-on in the plant. So I like more work, physical work.
I mean, that's what I love too. It's finally the point where Matt and I literally sat down last week and started doing some grafting because everyone here at the nursery had everything else handled. And so I was like, this is awesome.
I miss it. I love the propagation side of it. That's one of my favorite parts of it. We're trying to build our facility up here more so that we can take more of the production here as well. I mean, right now we're doing a ton of our production at Buckholtz because they already have a better facility than us, but we're trying to match that. Maybe not in production because they've done a lot this year, but at least on a smaller scale, but in the same vein of what they're doing there. So,
well, maybe next year I'll come over and see if I can prompt y'all to do some summer grafting.
Maybe we can get you to do some teaching. That would be even better. Yeah, and get you over here drafting some. I would love that. We need to do more summer grafting. It's I've always been a winter grafter. I don't know why. That's just when Dad did it. And I'm comfortable summer grafting, but I don't do as much as I should. So I guess it's too warm. I like to hide in the winter somewhere and put on a podcast or something and graft. But I need to start upping our summer numbers for sure.
Now, Elizabeth, one thing you really enjoyed a lot was propagation and the sort of the science behind it.
Yes.
So for somebody who's maybe listening, who's a first timer, who's maybe a novice trying to learn about doing a few grafts for fun, what advice would you have for them?
It's not rocket science, and there are plenty of videos on YouTube that will show you the basics, but you just have to have a sharp knife, make clean cuts, understand about the cambium and the structure of the tree, and maybe find a mentor who's done it before who can help you the first few times. But after you've done it a little bit, I mean, obviously you would think they would take 100% of the time, but even I, who have been grafting for, longer than I care to admit, sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes it does. So it's always like magic.
Yeah. Speaking of videos, I think we probably have 4 or 5 videos ourselves on the grafting process and trying to help people who might be trying to learn about, all the mistakes we've made and other things.
You still get humbled some years. I mean, you get all the best things going, and some years, it's always trying to figure out why that magic didn't happen sometimes. But
what's the biggest mistakes you've made when grafting?
I would say not understanding that you need to get good contact in the bottom corner of your slice if you're side grafting. People want to line it up. You line it up side to side, but if you get good pressure down in that corner, that's a huge part of the battle. So that was an early lesson. Timing on grafting, summer grafting, you've got a very small window, and you've got to understand that callousing won't happen once the temperatures drop below 65. So you need to time your last flat grafts before the cool weather gets here, which caught me this year because we had an unexpected cold snap. And the importance of the health of the seedlings, the understock. Mm-hmm. You can have great signwood, but if your understock isn't thriving, you're probably not going to have great success.
Oh, that's so important. That's so important. I've been told many times you can tell a lot about a nursery by where they keep their rootstock, right? Like if it's not important to them, it's probably not going to look as good. They're not going to get good takes.
Now, your advice can go on all levels. You've been growing Japanese maples for so long. What advice do you have for people who are, maybe novices or just getting into growing Japanese maples? You
mean as a business?
No, just as a hobby, as someone trying to grow in their yard.
Japanese maples look delicate, but they're incredibly tolerant of a lot of adverse conditions. I think that you pay attention to some basic cultural advice with no wet feet, and make sure they're not going to burn up in the sun in August for the best foliage. Usually that doesn't hurt the tree, but it'll make it not look great. So they're easy keepers, I think, with a few provisions. And as far as pruning, the tree will tell you if it needs pruning and where. So as long as you're not trying to manipulate a form too dramatically, unless you're into bonsai, it'll just share its knowledge with you, and you'll move forward with beautiful creation from nature.
Well, that's great advice. That's great advice. We've jumped all around, but I want to jump back and say I think that Maymont's super underrated. That's when we need to get more in production. I know we were talking about some of the intros you kind of helped get out there. I didn't get to talk about that one enough because I love Maymont. I think that's colors are super interesting. And we need to be upping the numbers on that one here. I'm just thinking about different cultivars, but that one has always been one that we got from you that I thought it could get to another level. Like it isn't in the Crimson Queen waterfall sales numbers, but it should be. People should be growing that one. It's awesome.
Well, I love the green weepers. I love green maples. Reds certainly have a place in the landscape, but the greens give you such showy transitional color, and that being one of Maymont. But and they change color depending on the microclimate and the sun, whereas in one yard Maymont might show more color in the spring. Mm-hmm. than green. But I agree. All those deserve a place.
So along that line, I know we've asked you a million times in the past, it changes, but do you have a favorite, or at least one that really stands out to you over the years as kind of this one's the one I'm always super drawn to? I'm
going to give you the same answer I gave you 20 years ago. Shiranami is probably my all-time favorite.
It's a hard one to beat. So you got us onto that one. One of the biggest things we were ever on back in the day, we were walking around in the garden. Tony Avent was here. We were on a Growing a Greener World, and we didn't have the numbers in it. We'd gotten it from you. We were producing it. I'd sold out of it. And off camera, I was just talking to Tony Avent about it. I was telling him all the things you told me. I was like, this thing's so awesome. Look at all these color changes. Well, the microphones were on. So they put that in the episode. So we're forever behind on Shiranami because I was like, I got this from Elizabeth. She got me into it. This one's just so cool. And I was just geeking out, talking off camera. But all that went into the episode. So after that, we've always been behind the gun trying to produce Shiranami ever since then. But that was one you got us on to that I think is it should be in a lot of people's top 5. Like, that one is a killer plant. Been around since the 1700s. So, I mean, kind of crazy that there was this level of sophistication for plant production in the 1700s that we're already there. Like, that could be somebody's all-time favorite now because it's that cool. But it's been around that long. And that just kind of shocks me about maples, too, is like, they've been around that long that there was a 1700s list with that level of sophistication, grafted, in production plants. And some of those will still be like the star of the show, right? I mean, Shiranami, I don't know. That one's always going to have a special place for me, too.
Well, and that's thanks to growers like you guys who keep production going, because if no one had propagated that tree, we wouldn't still have it.
Now, another one that you got us onto shortly after Shiranami was Nanasagawa. Nanasagawa.
Yeah. What do you like to say? I never say that one right.
What do you like about that one?
I think I like the habit of it. It's sort of curling and unusual. The leaves are cool. I mean, you have to see it. So hopefully you've got a good picture of it.
Oh, yeah. I think it's also that like sort of love for Shiranami where you see Nanasagawa and you kind of have that sort of low kind of spreading out kind of a shape to it. Makes it kind of unique.
Another one I got to get heavy back into production. I noticed my one in the ground this year had a bunch of seeds on it too. Real small leaves, real spreading. Hard one to say. Nanasagawa. Is that right?
Say it with confidence.
I'll just say it with confidence. Yeah. See, that's what my mentor tells me. That's why you think I'm overconfident. She's saying say it with confidence. So
now, when we're looking through here at your different varieties, Maymont Park we talked about earlier came from Maymont. Maymont came from Maymont Park. Mm-hmm. We actually did a post tour of the Maple Society there, so I actually got to go visit and see the tree. Years ago as part of the post tour from the Maple Society meeting when we were in DC.
Yep.
You've told the story behind that. Tell us a little bit about Maizuru.
Well, it was a seedling that we got, and we were grafting on it, and did the graft, and I looked at the seedling on which I had just grafted something like a blood good, and I went, oh my God, because it was just striated beyond belief on the bark. So cut it off and immediately grafted it. So we don't really have the mother plant, but we have the mother graft.
Yeah.
But we observed it for, over 12 years to decide if it deserved a name. And that's important in maple naming. There are so many types of maples and so many that are similar. You have to decide if it's really different enough to deserve a name. So we called it Special Seedling from Graft for many years, and then decided, the variegation is a different pattern than the others of that ilk, and it just the colors in the bark were super cool. So we named it at the suggestion of some friends who were maple customers, Maizuru, which means dancing crane, evidently. They were camellia growers, so they suggested that. And we took some pictures and off it went.
I love it. That's a beautiful selection. It's been very popular for us. Every time we have that one, it sells out. It's very popular.
Yeah, it tends to, as it matures, keep that level of variegation whereas a lot of them show more green, I think, as they mature. Of course, that, again, depends on microclimate and exposure.
We've got to get Torchlight back into production. You mentioned that one. I've got one in the ground at Mom's.
We shipped some silence to Buckholtz.
We've got to get it back heavier. We've been producing it again, but that one's been exceptionally heat tolerant. I mean, the name almost, it's got torch in it, but that one's done really well in some high heat places.
Yeah, we picked that. It was a red seedling, and we had it just planted out, and it just was head and shoulders above its companion seedlings, or a lot of the cultivars. We planted a mature one in shade, and it held its color well, so hence the name Torchlight.
Excellent selection. Great fall color, too. That's been a good one for fall for us.
Now, we got a lot of the stories on there, and I can know a little bit of the story of Peggy. Would you like to share that with us, the cultivar?
Well, Peggy was, as I said, our head propagator, and we used to walk the nursery frequently because with that many cultivars there, and as promiscuous as Japanese maples can be with cross-pollinating, you'd always look along the rails of the house for something unique. And she happened to spot this one. And so we dug it up and brought it along, again, evaluating it. And the colors in it were so cool, and the texture of the leaves is so cool. Of course, we had to call it Peggy.
Awesome. I remember riding around with her on golf carts. When we were up there loading up, we'd come up with a 33-foot trailer back in the day and just get as many trees as we possibly could. And I cherish those times. That's a lot of my fun memories in maples because there wasn't places we could drive to and see that many selections. So being able to come up to your place was like, I was a kid in a candy store. I would get so excited to make that trip. Tim and I would drive there straight. So we just get up in the morning and drive up there. And then
sometimes we would drive up the night before and stay at a hotel not 20 minutes away.
Yeah.
And I think it was right next to a big theme park.
King's Dominion.
Yeah, right beside King's Dominion.
We've made that ride in one day back and one day up. Though.
Oh, we have. That's a lot.
As I remember, y'all liked the buffet at the hotel.
Yeah. that sounds right. That tracks.
That definitely checks out with us. When we go on maple trips, it's the maples are the priority, but the food we eat while we're there is definitely on a high priority.
You give
me
good conversation, good food, and maples. I'm a happy man. That's a good day right there.
And the other fun thing about your trips is you would come up in with that old trailer and your pickup truck, and we would jam an unbelievable amount of maples.
I want to say there was some times where I was probably overweight. Like that, not just overweight me, but overweight in the trucks. We had a tag for I think 13K. We were over that sometimes. I guarantee it. There was a couple times I came back and we were hoping you didn't water a lot before we got there because we came back with a lot of plants.
Let's talk about the first few times we went up with Dad's truck with a 1500.
Yeah,
we definitely got overweight, even just carrying the 12-foot trailer. We just packed the back of the truck full down.
In a 12-foot trailer.
The 12-foot trailer down as many trees would fit in there.
When I say she helped us get started, I mean it. Not just in the advice, but in the plants. We would go up there and get plants from her, and she would significantly discount them for us, which really helped us out starting out. I was in the basement, and we would come back and pot those up, and so I can tell you at least 1 through 4 greenhouses were probably funded from your plants. 1 through 8 probably all came about because as soon as I was in Mom and Dad's basement, and as soon as we could get trees from you and get them to market, everything I made would go into greenhouses. So we just grew that way. But I think you single-handedly helped fund us getting out of the basement.
Well, it was fun to see y'all take off with what had been your dad's truck business, I think, and create what you have today.
Yeah, he would just sell at tailgates. That was his whole thing. Dad, when I first started doing this, really when you met us, I took it over from Dad full-time around 08. Now, we did it before that, but it wasn't full-time.
Now, we met Elizabeth in 09 at the Maple Society meeting.
That is true.
Our very first trip to Oregon. It's amazing the doors that very first trip to the Maple Society opened.
So I remember I encouraged y'all to go to the meet and greet cocktail hour.
Yeah.
And meet.
Yeah, we had a blast that time. We were still trying to figure out the West Coast, East Coast timing, so I remember being like, I've got to remember all this stuff and my brain's fried.
Now, our listeners probably know this, but Matt and I literally sold everything we had, from video games to all of our college stuff, almost everything we owned, to buy the plane tickets to get out to that Maple Society meeting.
And look where you are now.
We felt really blessed. We got to go and study. When that year, what we'd really failed at was grafting. So we decided we were going to graft 10,000 trees that year. we got like less than
700. Less than
yeah,
700.
I mean, it was bad. And so we were like, we got to get better at this or get out. Right. So I think sometimes in business, the best thing is to have like ridiculous stick-to-itiveness. Well, I don't know what the word is. Like somebody was asking me,
Perseverance.
how do you succeed at business? And I'm like, that game where the last person with their hand on the car gets to keep it? It's that. And so we just didn't know when to quit. So we went out there and tried to learn from everybody. And we went and studied the grafting. But when we came back, we kept calling you that whole summer. It was like, how do I do this? How do I do that? And I just remember bugging you and Frank Biles to all the time. Like I'd call y'all all the time and be like, I don't know what's going wrong. She's like, you're keeping them too wet. You're keeping them too wet. And so we finally kind of tweaked everything. That first year I started doing it in 08. This business made around $3,000 maybe, like total, like even with cost. And so it wasn't really a full-time thing yet. So man, that kind of mentorship and the help you gave us really kind of got us off to the races. So I always appreciate that.
Well, it's really exciting to see new plant lovers. And one thing, and I think y'all have participated in something like this, having horticulture students come and learn, or other nurserymen come and learn. Mm-hmm. It's gratifying, and you end up with friendships like we have.
We actually have Blue Ridge Community coming this Friday to learn grafting.
Oh, cool.
And so we do that every year with our local horticulture.
We try to keep doing what you taught us and teach more people. So we had a group of all the ag students in Henderson County here last week as well. So they come in some buses, and I think we had about 50 kids out here walking around going, this is actually kind of cool. What's this thing? And then walking around the greenhouses. So a lot of juniors and seniors in high school that were pursuing horticulture professions later. So
cool. Yeah, it's crazy. And then I think our very first trip to Acer Acres was one of our many road trips up to New Jersey and back.
Yep.
And I think during that time, I think we fit some crazy amount of 3 gallons in the back of our SUV.
Yeah, we'd go up there in a Chevy Blazer and come back with a couple hundred trees.
And it was packed full. In fact, the Herbsphere we have sitting in Mom and Dad's front yard came from one of those trips, and it was a 3 gallon that was touching the back of the SUV and also touching the window. And now, it's probably every bit of 30 feet.
Yeah, Herbsphere is a very vigorous grower, but what a beautiful tree.
I find it to be a great Circinatum hybrid, likely for the South. But I mean, if you're trying to grow a Circinatum, that's a great one. It takes off for me. Doesn't have any issues in the fall. Normally goes to great fall color. I'm always impressed with its durability, being it has some Circinatum heritage in it for sure.
Well, and at Acer Acres, we had them located in probably the hottest spot in the nursery. And it just held up great.
Not one of your intros, but just thinking back on that time frame, one of the most exciting things I got that first time we got to go to your place, and again, we were driving through in a Blazer, but you had just a few of them, and you're like, I can't let y'all get more than one. But we got Gossamer for the first time, and I remember you had like a 3 gallon Gossamer, and I just remember mind blown. Like I'd never seen that one before. Stuff like that wasn't really on the internet at that point.
Yep.
You couldn't really find that one. And Billy Schwartz and Dick Wolf introduction, but just to get that one from you, I remember being so excited. Like that, it was that where people collect trees now, it was that kind of feeling. It was like, I can't believe this exists, and now I've got it. So I just remember that being the coolest thing. I think I rode back with that one in my lap in the Blazer to fit it in.
Will you talk a little bit about the hype behind Gossamer around the time?
Well, it's just a cool plant. It's sort of a dwarf japonicum, and there really isn't anything else like it. So hype. You had to pay a lot of money for a graft. Right. I mean, a lot of money, and fool me, I did it. But it's not patented, so I can craft it.
You gave me one, or sold me one, and it was like a big one at the time. And I remember how long it took for one to even get that size. So we were so excited. We had bragging rights.
Within a year or two, I actually made a trip up to go visit Billy Schwartz, maybe even on that same trip. And we got to see the original Gossamer in a 3 gallon pot. And it's a seedling, and it was only like a foot tall. And
all the grafts came from that one, but his first one was still so small, not being grafted, it had no vigor to it.
Well, that happened to him with Shayna. The original Shayna was still so small compared to what comes out of production, like on the West Coast. They're significantly larger. So
it was so cool just to get to see, the history behind some of these plants, start to learn. And I remember you telling us about how everybody was after the Gossamer, and that it was just one of these trees that no one could get a hold of. And the people who were producing them were gatekeeping them a little bit.
Yep.
And you know, at the same time, they were just the tree everybody was after.
Yeah.
And like nowadays, you know, there's lots of other trees that are everybody's after, but there's no gatekeeping. It's just too many people want them and there's not enough to get in production.
I couldn't believe, I remember that was one of the first trips we got, that Tom Thumb, maybe the next trip after that. And that one always blew me away for the tight density of it. I mean, we're finally getting some big enough ones to get some signwood going on that, but that was always such a cool intro to me.
Well, and folks need to understand that if you buy a 1 gallon of a plant that is that small at maturity, then in its infancy as a 1 gallon or a 2 gallon, it's going to be tiny unless you really manipulate growth with fertilizer or, you know, make a graft, a multi-graft or something like that. So it just depends on what you expect the tree to be, but you've got to be patient with plants like that.
Now, on one of the plants we got from you, Acer Palmatum Tattoo, I recently found a witch's broom on it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's planted at Mom and Dad. So if you want the ultimate non-production plant, we'll take Tattoo and make it smaller and denser and harder to propagate.
And so how minute is the piece of wood on this witch's broom?
The witch's broom is about the size of a softball right now. And
It's off the one we got from you. That's planted at my parents.
Ah, okay.
And it just has that tight, dense habit, really small signwood. I actually found it on Easter, so I'm thinking about giving it some sort of name very much like He Is Risen or something on it. And I think that's probably what I'm going to go with, because it was found on, really, when we were celebrating Easter, it was a Good Friday. And so I was just walking around the yard and I was like, how did I walk by this for so many years? I mean, it's been going for a hot minute. I mean, because... I mean, it's got
it's softball size.
We literally just filmed at that one, probably the week before that.
It has the twist that you see on witch's brooms, where it will get like this, just sort of knot at the base of it.
Yep.
And then
short and center nodes, and just, you know, the harder thing is to recognize the extra density, because Tattoo's so dense already.
Yep.
But yes,
we're trying to graph that. It's going to be a process.
Good luck.
Somebody's going to see this podcast. They're going to say, "I want a 7 gallon right now." That's going to be a minute.
Well, we'll show up at the next open house and be like, "I want an Easter Palmatum. He is risen." And I'm like, going to be like, look, we just now found it. It's going to be at least 5 to 7 years until this thing really gets in numbers.
You're going to be out there with your jeweler's glasses on.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah. But something neat, something special, and a lot of listeners probably haven't heard about that yet, but thought I'd throw that one out there as well.
It was actually on the plant we brought back from you, because I had that one in a 10 gallon for a while as a stock plant, and finally got it in the ground. I mean, it's been in the ground well over 10 years, but it's actually the plant you grafted that's in the ground there.
I look forward to seeing it.
Yeah, we'll show you that one before we leave here. It's interesting. I mean, again, I kind of cringe at the idea of having to propagate a witch's broom on Tattoo. Like, how much money can we lose on one plant? Like, let's make something impossible to produce for us. But yeah.
But you know, a lot of those plants that we have at my parents' home, or numerous of those, actually came from you. You know, some of those trees were trees that we grafted and put in the ground there, but on the second round of planting at my parents' home, a lot of those trees came from that first trip, where we loaded the SUV full.
A lot of stock plants, a lot of cool things. We'd go shop for our customers and keep, you know, a few things of each for ourselves each time, as all plant hoarders do. But yeah, there's a lot of plants around this place that started out at your place for sure.
Well, Elizabeth, I really appreciate you jumping in and coming in over our podcast, and it's great to catch up. I know that now you've moved here more locally.
We're neighbors.
Yeah. I mean, you're just a hop, skip, and a jump away, out in the Arden Fletcher area.
In Fletcher.
Yeah.
In Hoopers Creek area.
How are you liking North Carolina? Is it a big change for you from the lower Richmond area?
It is a big change, and I love it. We all love it. We moved as a family down here to be closer to my son, daughter-in-law, and their children, and we're thriving and appreciate the North Carolina vibe and the beauty, and you know, the sky really is that blue.
Nice. We're loving having you here. I was talking to one of our mutual friends, Brandon Dewey, at open house, and I was like, "You're going to see her after?" He was like, "Well, after I leave here, I'm going to visit Elizabeth." And I was like, "I'm jealous. Tell her I said hello, and I've not done a great job. I've got to go see her soon." So I was kind of happy for him, but I was kind of a little jealous. If I want to be honest, I was like, "You're getting to see her before I have. I got to go visit her. It's been a minute."
Well, he was coming by to get some pots so he could grow his own seedlings because I taught him how to summer graft this past summer, so he's all in now.
Awesome.
Now, one of the plants that he said he'd gotten from you was Acer palmatum Eleanor.
I don't remember Eleanor. He got Fred and Ethel.
Ethel.
Okay.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about those.
So Fred and Ethel were both seedlings that were thrown from a 20-foot tall Kurobeyama that I had in my house at my house in Virginia. And that tree used to throw some great seedlings. So Fred came first, and then Ethel. And Fred is a very vigorous growing green weeper, very strong outward growth. And then Ethel is a little daintier, a little more curvaceous, comes out with a beautiful orangey bronze spring color that holds pretty well into the season. And so we've got the originals planted at my new house in Fletcher. And I think that when you guys came to the nursery, one of the last times I gave you one or the other of them and then discovered that we weren't sure which one. So you may still have one of them, but I can give you new ones. So.
We'll get them into production. I think we'll have to have the whole Elizabeth collection
now,
here at Mr. Maple.
Fred and Ethel, what do those names have significance?
We were just trying to think of a pair, and they were from the I Love Lucy show.
Oh,
nice.
There we go. There we
makes
go.
great sense.
We also have in evaluation, we can't use these names if they're trademarked. So we've got Veronica and a little Richie and an Archie. Well, Archie and Veronica go together.
Nice. I got to make my way over here and see these originals at some point, so I may come a knocking. That sounds pretty cool.
Well, the coolest thing we've got coming along is a new dark red linear lobum that seems to be growth habit similar to Villa Toronto, but a deep burgundy.
Oh, that's awesome. I really appreciate you hopping on here. One of our true mentors, like somebody I can honestly tell you, people make a big change in your life. You made a big change in our lives. We were a small operation. We still are. We still are a small family business, but we've got multiple employees now, and this thing's really grown. And
farm on the East Coast and West Coast now.
It wouldn't have done it without your tutelage and your mentorship. Not to say something about me, but when I got the Peter Gregory Award, I don't know if you ever got to see the thing. The first person I said I want to thank is you.
Aww.
Because we wouldn't have made it. I mean, Dad got us started, but you really kept us going. Like, it was amazing that you were willing to share your information with us. Your knowledge, your plants. A lot of our cultivars early on came from you to kind of give us some diversity. We were finding out real fast we wanted to do the cool things, and you were the source for all the cool things. So I really appreciate it.
Well, I'm humbled. Thank you.
And also, I think you mentored us along in the Maple Society as well. As a former vice president of the Maple Society, Matt and I both became presidents later after that. And so we appreciate your encouragement and getting involved in the society. And
you always told me to go find the people too. You're like, "What are you doing? Go see them." And I'm like, "You're right. Why don't I go see them? I might as well. I better go see them." So we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, I appreciate you hopping in here today, Elizabeth. We'll wrap it up here. We really appreciate you tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe to the Mr. Maple Show if you like maple stories. Sometimes we interview interesting people. We get to do things like that. We do countdowns here. So give us a sub on your favorite podcast platform. Give us a 5-star. That'll really help. And we air the video components of these every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you want to see the video, you can check it out there as well.
Take care.
God bless.
And have a great day.